communication. Now, if you send an email to 100 people, they may not reply back to you. Chances are no one will reply back to you for a new blog. But if you put up a post on social media account, someone will like it, someone won't like it, so they may have a conversation. They may tag people. So that's how the whole viral buzz came about. You know, getting your blog viral, getting more followers instantly. So that's where social media can help. Second one, contest and more contests. I think if you have some giveaway which you could give away on your account, on your social media profiles, you have a good chance to build a bigger following. And automatically, contests is a way to drive engagement as well. I remember one of the contests we had on Twitter. We promoted our hashtag, which was #TDMO5, and it was trending on the second position in Mumbai. So that was like a big achievement for us. So that only happened because we had a powerful contest going on. We curated it well, and we got a lot of followers as well. So if you can think of some contest to organize as a blog, there can be a lot of things. If you are promoting an artist, like for example us, we are interviewing an artist, we could have a partnership with the artist saying we will do a feature on you, and in exchange let us organize a contest wherein any one of the lucky users gets to meet you. So things like that drive crazy engagement on the page, and there are a lot of things. You can give away t-shirts, you can give away phones and tickets to festivals, which works very good in our case, and things like that. Again, content, if you create content which goes viral, chances that people will know you are very high. Logical Indian, Scoop, these two blogs or Facebook pages have gone viral because of their content. They every content that they share, if they post on their social media pages, people want to know more about it. People want to tag their friends. Now, Scoop does not produce content which is 1,000-word long. All they may have is just a YouTube video which is embedded and a few lines about that video. That's it. And they have crazy following on their social media accounts.
So they curated or both
Yeah,
of these
so they have based their whole game on social media. They've gone all out on social media. And of course they may also have email marketing, which everyone should be doing. These are the different accounts where you should be targeting marketing yourself. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
What's Snapchat?
Snapchat is basically a new app which helps you send a photo to anyone and it disappears in 10 seconds. So, I mean, of course, people can take screenshots. So, you know, whatever you come up with, people will find a way to go around it and get their work done. So, for example, if I send a photo to my friend and I don't want him to keep sharing it with other guys, I'll just Snapchat him. So, for example, what happens on Instagram is when you post some content, you have likes, you have comments, and if no one likes or comments your post, you feel low. You feel like, oh my god, this is terrible. You feel depressed. Doesn't happen on Snapchat. Snapchat, you just send it, people view it, and that's the end. If they don't want to view it, they unfollow you. There's no liking, there's no commenting, and all of that. So it's recently picked up a huge momentum.
But then how can you sell your blog content? If it is
So what happens on Snapchat is because there's no question of the domino effect. Now, what I mean by domino effect, on Facebook, suppose you put up a content, new post, as a new blog. No one likes it, but your content is good. Let's say it's going to 100 people. The first 50 people don't care about it. The next 50 people who see the post after, let's say 5 hours, they'll be like, no one saw it, why should I see it? Whereas in the other scenario, suppose these 50 guys, all of them liked it. The next 50 guys, they are more likely to check out the post because of the domino effect. So there's no question of that in Snapchat. So whether someone's liking it, not liking it, you will go to check it out because there's something up there and you want to, it creates that feeling in you that you want to like finish all these tasks. You want to see all these photographs. So everyone will end up seeing your content,
Means on Snapchat, it is better to share not a written content, but to share some pictures.
Yeah, pictures. What also some guys have been doing is when they put up new blog posts, they'll take a photo of it and post it on Snapchat. So and it disappears in 5 seconds. So that makes you curious. Oh shit, I didn't get to read this. I have to go on the blog and check it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's how it's been working out well for many blogs, and marketers are.
Similar to email, you send a mail, so you don't know whether they like or not, but you sent it. So
Yeah, exactly. There's no question of domino effect.
Like, dislike, and I
Just
like
that
it.
the email remains in your email box for a while.
True.
This will not really.
No, in fact, there is the Snapchat what you mentioned, right? There's some of them they share images with the content there, the same title.
Yeah.
Like 7 ways to actually,
Yeah.
and then you can actually share the content.
Correct.
I think
And recently they've also started this discover feature where the big blogs can. They have a lot of customized features where they can have their own written content. So your whole blog content goes up on Snapchat. So people can wait there, read and share it on Snapchat itself. But that's only for I think 9 or 12 big guys like CNN, Discovery, and the guys of that level.
I think
But you said a Snapchat image disappears in 10 seconds. Will this remain? The entire blog page is given.
No, on the new feature which I'm talking about, the Discover feature, it comes as a normal blog post, so you can read it for as long as you want. So that's a new feature which they've started after they've got this huge user base. So the whole craze came about because your pictures would just disappear in 5 seconds. So
suppose
That's probably a
I-
paid feature.
sorry,
That's
It's probably a paid feature for the
That's how-
biggies.
you
That's how they
never
have to
know.
monetize, no?
Yeah, it could be a paid feature, but I think Snapchat is not looking at revenues. They just want to keep building up their value, get more and more investors, and keep pumping it up till I don't know when. Like WhatsApp doesn't. What revenue does WhatsApp have? But it's giving these huge features and has such a big valuation.
Data mining.
Sorry?
I'm sure data mining
Yeah,
is.
it has a lot of value.
Valuations
It's just-
also, valuations.
No, but then just to this thing. See, what I was told is that I should not share my full blog content on some any this thing. Like now we
Social
have
media.
not social media, in these what pages they are called, aggregator sites.
Okay.
Okay, this thing is that they will read over there, they will not come back to your page.
That's one way of looking at it. See, in the traditional newspaper model, the newspaper wants everyone to be a captive audience so that they can sell advertising space side by side. I think in the new media, we are not only talking about advertising, because advertising is the last revenue model for us, small players. It's also influence. Supposing if people take you seriously as a writer, okay? Many musicians, for example, they put out their music not to earn from it, but to get gigs from it.
Okay. So that is.
So advertising is not
to share my post on that one for this.
as
I'm a food blogger, so
Okay.
for me there is a Yummy kind of this thing. So there I was told not to put my post because I'm taking traffic out. Like so, I wasn't too convinced. But
That's one way
Traffic
to look
doesn't
at
matter,
it.
yeah.
The other way to look at it is you're getting a reach to a whole new audience.
Yeah.
So if anyone likes you, they will go to read more about your content. So they'll automatically Google you up or they'll search you up and they'll land
Do
up
they
on your
actually
website.
read, but because in journalistic terms we call it clickbait journalism. And
Yeah, so that's
especially
what
the
Scoop has understood well. They don't write anything. They just post multimedia and
So finally what you're doing is you're killing this whole process of actually reading and getting people just to click
Not
like,
really.
don't like, don't like.
not really
Well, I'll
because
send you an article that's come in Tehelka. It talks about Scoop Whoop has managed to attract millions of visitors. They have 30k Twitter followers, and it's like, it's just clicking on it. There's nothing to it much.
yeah, but the audience is loving the content.
See, there are different ends of the pool, in that sense. What I'm saying is, even in journalism, there is this theory today that no one reads more than 400 words. So the editors will tell you don't write more than 400. But Guardian and all, they go in for long form journalism. I mean, we have been doing, we are from a journalistic background, so I've been putting out 1200, 1400 word features on GoaNet. I don't have statistics for how many people are reading how much. But from the feedback I get, those who are interested are interested, those who are not. People are going through the whole bloody thing. Sometimes. It depends who and what.
It depends on how you're able to
content and your
retain.
interest.
Now, same thing would happen in a newspaper. If you have an article up, someone will read the first 3 lines. If he's not interested, he wouldn't
Yeah.
continue.
Right.
Same thing happens online. It's just the headline here which matters more, because I think that's what will get you the.
But having said that, there are some forms of journalism which push you into a certain direction. On Twitter, it's 144 characters. So like a lot of people find Twitter more attractive than blogging,
Correct.
because it's instant also.
It's microblogging. Right?
Yeah, it's microblogging, but it's like a higher stage of evolution for some people. So I know many bloggers who have moved out.
I think the model which Scoopwhoop actually works on is more of monetization rather than content. So what actually madam said was, reaching out there is okay, but then spending what amount of time also. So there are some blogs which only run because of the financial gain, but there are some blogs like very few of them actually do good content, and they will market well, but at the same time their whole thing is engagement rather than just conversion.
They want you to stay on longer or shorter?
They want you to stay
Each
long.
blogger wants you to stay longer.
So even Scoopwhoop, the type of content they produce may not be long written content, but they have a lot of videos. So just because there is this whole written content era which we've been living through, doesn't mean that we should not give space or we should criticize this whole video, the multimedia era. I mean, now it's all evolving. Now I read a post today morning when I was going through this presentation, wherein someone put up a lot of videos and wrote huge content. I went through a lot of points of the content and I saw the videos as well. So there is also a good amalgamation of both the video plus long content which is taking place. Now Scoopwhoop may not drive a great traffic from SEO, which is Google, but they have a huge social media following. So because they produce small content, so they lose out maybe on the Google search compared to the other big long content websites.
There's also one side for faking news, right?
Faking news, yeah.
That also produces a nonsense news, which
Yeah.
still it gets a lot of engagement.
That's the whole problem.
It's like suddenly they mentioned a few weeks back they mentioned India is now completely supporting net neutrality, and people were shocked. They actually went on the content to read it. There was
the whole idea of, the whole intention of those websites is to have satire-based journalism, to have humor element associated to it. So that's how they all came about, and of course they will generate a lot of hits, because when you say suddenly Narendra Modi is dead, if he's not dead, people will want to click it. And they won't just say Narendra Modi is dead, they will have some humor element associated to it. Like, I don't really have any examples to give at the moment, but you can check the website out. It's quite funny. I've gone through many articles because they are just like, the titles are
But
extremely
what
funny.
about plagiarism? How does that work in your world? I mean, there is so much content out there, and people are just plagiarizing wholesale. They might just change a few words here and there and put it back.
And that happens in Goa in journalism, the newspapers as well. One of the Goan dailies picked up our photograph and published it on their newspaper, and they said it is their picture. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that's just one small bit.
No, that happens a lot. We don't come to know.
It's a bit
Now-
easier with today's technology. Cut and paste is
Many of
easier.
these newspapers in Goa have taken up content from some international blogs or some international websites. So it's happening. It's happening both ways. It's not just on the online space. Of course, on the online space also it exists, wherein people pick up content from the newspaper and they'll add some things here and there. So that is happening everywhere. It just cannot be said that it's happening online.
And India doesn't have a cyber IT policy as concrete in terms of copying content.
Yeah.
Still not matured enough at that space.
Mhm.
Copying content really works, I think, everywhere. I mean, like in India, it's like just copy paste, and it's still even watermarks nowadays are actually can be removed.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
doing- Yeah, watermarks can all be removed.
But I think
Yeah, they are.
And people, it requires a certain expertise, but it's easy.
No, they're done. It's done all the time. I've seen.
but
it
sometimes
done.
the fear of plagiarism can stop you from actually putting out things,
Absolutely.
So I think like I put out most of all my photos under Creative Commons, and what I've gained is much more than what I've lost.
But that kind of play,
But have you-
that is actually
It's a
sharing
model.
it. You want
Yeah,
to share.
yeah.
I'm talking of people are running websites where they're just
Yeah.
wholesale, just stealing and
That is true.
just
But in-
reproducing stuff.
In your case, people do come back to you saying,
Yeah,
okay, I want to
a few
use this.
have. I want to pay, and a few have.
Okay.
But it's also like work contracts and other things. As a freelancer, it makes a big difference. So
But what actions do you take in case if some, let's say,
don't bother. I just laugh about it because it's a waste of time. Yeah, who you're going to chase? The laws are there, but who you're going to chase? Just laugh about it. Have a good laugh, One side's, but people don't normally.
Have you come across any situation wherein the author actually?
You know, this Joe Guayuki is the saddest case here. He's an anonymous guy and he tells people, use my photos, give me credit. They won't even do that. And then he gets more worked up because they cannot pay him now. He's anonymous. So he cannot demand payment also.
He's a one person.
Yeah, he's a one person.
No, it's a
No, many people suspect it's a combination, but he's one guy. So.
Okay.
I know how he manages 3-4 places. Joe Guayuki. Three. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be this is actually a proper time to have discussion.
What suggestion you will give for this copying content? I mean, what's your personal views on it? Like, as a Goan blogger community, what action do you think the writer community should actually take?
Copying content.
I mean, your personal views. I mean, even blogging and so on.
It's definitely not ethical to do it on one note, and if someone's doing it, the least he can do is give credits. Now, if
No,
he's not,
I have one problem with it. I don't have a problem with people copying on. My point is that you are talking of people who are blogging, who are online, etc. as journalists. We've been journalists on the ground. We worked, say, 30 years in the job. We actually go places to get a story. Like today, I've spent the whole morning in Anjuna. So when you talk of bloggers as journalists, I would completely disagree with that. That's not journalism for us. So
Yeah, again,
in that
there are-
sense, you are actually stealing content from journalists who work on the ground and putting it out as yours.
that's completely unethical. I mean, if
But just for argument's sake, it's a
Yeah.
different kind of journalism
Yes,
that
I
the
know.
tools
So
allow them
that's
to.
another world altogether.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
cannot make.
But at the same time, there are
blogging
people
and just with journalism.
who do hours of research and put up content online.
Like he's doing he's got his beat.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
His beat.
I have no quarrel with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking of, I've seen people, I mean, there are millions and millions of websites out there, and all they are doing is rewriting,
Yeah.
tweaking a bit here and there, and putting
Playing
it
on the
out.
copyright laws, because the copyright is not on idea, it's only on the order of the word. So if you rejig it, you can argue that it's my own, but everyone knows where it's coming from in that sense, no?
So that
It's
is
a
the
problem.
thing. So as journalists, I would have a problem with people who are just merely at a desk and producing some content which, I mean, that's okay. You're a blogger or whatever, but don't call yourself a journalist. That is my thing as someone who's been in journalism for so many years.
They're not calling
There's
themselves journalists, but only
There is, people do, and there are a lot of people who think that, what they're doing is journalism.
No,
It's
I
not.
think in every
I think
field
there's a-
there is someone who's pro and someone who's a beginner. So there's someone who's a good journalist, there's someone who's a bad journalist. There's someone who's a good engineer, someone who's a bad engineer. So I think this exists in every field.
But
Someone who's doing online work and who's spending just 2 minutes making content here and there, he's a bad journalist. But someone who, like you, who's spending hours and days and actually researching, coming up with good quality content, is a brilliant journalist.
But
So
there's going to be a rechange in the situation, because even now the White House credits bloggers. So technology is bringing a change in the state of affairs as we know it.
Yeah, but there are
And we are
blogging
used to it.
journalists. They're actually journalists who are blogging. That's a different.
But then,
No.
are they termed as journalists? Or
No, they are bloggers.
They are bloggers or writers,
Who are-
right?
Bloggers who are getting accreditation.
Content.
But what? They are playing the same role that journalists are doing. See,
the content.
access. What is the journalist real plus point? Is that you have access to huge audiences. Today, technology is giving a blogger that, rightly or wrongly.
Maybe there's also a shift in the idea that whole lot of effort means a whole lot of value with the young. There's a generational and a technology shift. So it's like, if you grind the masala in this laborious way for the fish curry, is going to be tasty. Whereas you might get a technology that'll do it in like 5 minutes. So do you say that it's taken me so long to make this curry and therefore it's that much more? There's a shift that's happened with the younger lot, I think. And so a lot of the ideas one had are actually no longer valid. Today I was talking to a professor today who said that in his class, everyone can do a fabulous presentation, PowerPoint and any kind of video, but if he was to ask them to write a one-page essay, they cannot. Because there's a shift in the skill sets and what people are expecting and asking also change. So I think something like that.
But what happens if tomorrow you write your own blog?